Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking about Naviance as a college research tool. I will also show you a few other websites that we recommend at Jones College Prep to use when searching for colleges. If you start with Naviance and you go to cps.edu/Naviance, as long as you are logged into your Google Chrome account, you will be able to log in directly into Naviance by hitting student login. Once you click on student login, this will be your home page. So to start your search with colleges, you would click on the college tab. And then you would start with going to find your fit. One of the things we focus on here at Jones is Supermatch. So if you were to click on Supermatch, you would see that there's a choose fit criteria at the top, right? So if you were to click on location, you would be able to select all the different locations. You'd be able to select large city, small city. You could also, so you would click a few things there that interest you. Then you can move over to academics if you want, and click on bachelor's degree, search by many, many different majors. And then you could move on to admission. If there's anything here that interests you that you would like to check, you can. So as you move through the search criteria, you do not have to select something for all of them. What you can do is once you feel like you have selected enough of a search criteria, you can just hit close, and what will appear is the must-have. So the things that you want to search by will be listed there. You can add stuff at any point. You can delete stuff. I do recommend that students do not make it too specific because you won't get much of a list that way. So make it, don't make it too broad either, but just kind of have what you feel as a student is very important to you. And then as you click on the top and you add criteria to it, the result amount will change, right? So right now I have 26 institutions under the Supermatch criteria that I've selected. So then if you scroll down, you'll see a list of colleges. It'll tell you exactly what percentage. So this is an 100% match. It also lists sort of the GPA that you have in Naviance as a student and compare it to the average. Same thing if we have SAT or ACT scores for you on file, it will do that with your ACT or SAT score as well. What's nice about this is that you can sort of see, okay, these are all my 100% matches. And then if you scroll down, the percentage will sort of go down, all right? When you get to this list, if you're satisfied with it, and there's say a school, let's choose University of Massachusetts, Boston. Okay, I have favorited that. So if you look down here, it says a certain number of schools, I believe it is 7, that is that is in the thinking about list, right? So say I add in Manhattan College and I click favorite. That has now taken, by clicking on the heart, it has now taken the thinking about colleges from 7 to 8, right? If I were to unfavorite this, it would take it down back to 7. So anytime you favorite a college, it goes into this list called thinking about, right? Colleges I'm thinking about, and I will show you that a little bit later in the video. So that is how you use Supermatch. I highly recommend it. If you need help with this, please reach out to your counselor and we can definitely help you in searching and figuring out a good criteria for the search. Now, if you go back to colleges, back to find your fit, you'll see something called Scattergrams. So now what this does is depending on this test score that is in the system in Naviance and the college you choose, it'll give us a graph that shows where you fall in relation to other students who have gone to Jones and who has been accepted or denied or waitlisted. So as you can see, there's a list of a bunch of schools. And it'll tell you how many applications that school has had in the last few years of classes that have graduated from Jones. So for example, the University of Alabama has 29 applications. So if I were to choose that and I hit view scattergram, it'll take me to this graph. Okay. And in this graph, what it's showing me is my, based on where you fall, right? So if I scroll down, it'll show you. The reason why it's not showing me is because I'm a demo student. So what it would look like is it would be this blue person in a circle that would be you. So your icon would be here somewhere on this graph, right? So if your icon was here, that means that you are most likely around with other students who have been accepted that have similar stats as you, right? If you're sort of somewhere as an outlier, that either means that your say your SAT score is too low, or your GPA is too low, or if you're out here, then maybe it's you're sort of high, you have higher scores than what the previous Jones students have had, right? But if you're around sort of the green check marks, that means you have a pretty good chance of getting in. And then there's a key down here, which kind of shows you, for this particular school, we've only had regular decision apps, but it will show you the different decisions, and sort of where our students fell historically. So it just gives you a good idea of what your chances are at that school. You can search by SAT or ACT. We don't have SAT scores in the system until after you take it junior year. If you do have an SAT score, an official SAT score or ACT score, you can email your counselor the official report form, and we can go ahead and add it so this feature would show up for you. All right. So that is Scattergram. It's a very great tool to use, so we highly recommend that students look at that. Then if you were to click on research colleges, you would see something called acceptance history. And if you clicked on acceptance history, you would see a list of schools and how many students between 2013 and 2020 have gotten accepted into the school and how many have enrolled into the school. All right. So this is kind of nice because it does show you, it's a long list of universities. Mine is a demo account, so it's not going to show them all, but how many students have been accepted and how many students have enrolled. It just gives students a nice way of figuring out, okay, based on previous Jones students, this is my chance. And also, just to show you, you could always go to the colleges tab, or you can also look, a lot of the search criteria are also on the left-hand side if you wanted to look at that. I previously mentioned a list called colleges I'm thinking about. So if you were to click on colleges I'm thinking about, what happens is when you favorite a college or you add this, you can always just add colleges to a list if you already have one in mind. This is a space where students can put in colleges they're thinking about. So as we go through junior year, we ask students, to have their first 5 college choices. And so those colleges would be listed here. It doesn't have to be 5, but any college a student is interested in, they would add it to this. So then later, senior year, when you start applying to those schools, you can move it to the application list. We ask that students do not add anything to the colleges I'm applying to list as a junior, because we like to have a clean list senior year so that we know exactly what schools the student is applying to, because as a senior, students will use Naviance to sort of manage their applications. All right. And counselors use Naviance solely to send documents to colleges. So we like that list to be clean. But colleges I'm thinking about, you can definitely use. So that is mostly what I wanted to highlight. There are a few other research kind of tools on here. If you go to College Compare, again, it's not going to show because I'm a demo, so I don't have any GPA in there, any SAT scores. But if I were to add, say, 2 colleges to compare, so I'll just add this, hit finish searching, and then it'll compare the two colleges with their SAT scores, with their average GPAs. And what's nice about that is it'll tell you at the top what you have. So if you see sort of a green check mark, that means it kind of fits your profile for College Match. And if you see red, then that means that, it's too high, and maybe you should rethink that decision or sort of see, it just gives you a good idea of where you fall when it comes to numbers. So that's a really great feature that Naviance has as well. There is also college resources. So in this, there's a lot of resources related to Common App, the Coalition app. Those are two kinds of applications. There's a Common Black college application. That link is here as well. Hispanic Association of College and Universities. There's financial aid resources. So a lot of students will find that based on the selection of colleges, they might need a CSS profile. So that link is there as well. FAFSA's link is here. FastWeb is a great way to search for colleges, for scholarships. Fair Test is the link that shows what schools are test optional. And then if you're interested in applying for the ACT signing up for the ACT or the SAT, those links are there as well. And then there's some military links down here and some college athletics for NCAA and things like that. So this resources list is a pretty good section also. So this is basically the few things that we use for Naviance. There are two other research tools that we do use at Jones, or we suggest students use. So that is Big Future on College Board, very similar to Supermatch. So what's nice is you can always use Supermatch and say one other tool to see sort of what colleges come up, what similar colleges come up, because if they come up on two lists, it might be a college to consider. So this is bigfuture.collegeboard.org. And then the other one that we recommend is College Express. College Express actually has a college search, scholarship search, but also there's something called list and rankings. So in this, what it allows students to do is search by 800 different lists, right? So say I went to college costs, and I wanted to look at all the colleges that meet financial need for students. If I were to click on this, it'll give me a list of all the schools that that fall in that category, right? And so what's nice about this is a lot of times when you see lists or when you type something into Google, it'll give you, the best schools in the country or something like that. This one gives you a good variety of different schools. So it's not just the top schools, but it'll pull up a variety of different kinds of schools, which is why we really like this at Jones. So this is collegeexpress.com. And as it said, there are tons of different, as I said earlier, there's tons of different lists that you can search by, different sort of categories you can search by. So it is a great resource. Again, if you have any questions about any of these resources or are looking for additional search resources, please reach out to your counselor. Because we can definitely help students with the college search process and share some books and things that we have. But nowadays we do find that there's a lot of websites and a lot of electronic resources. But if you do have any other questions or need any additional support, please make sure that you reach out to your counselor. Thank you.